total responsible person. The oil of blame and the water of responsibility do not mix.
Victim mentality versus responsible living.
The victim mentality.
A victim mentality says, if things don't go the way I expected, someone must be at fault. Someone should pay. I have the right to be upset and act out emotionally. Difficult situations are just unfair setbacks. This mindset traps people in cycles of blame and emotional immaturity. Growth becomes impossible when responsibility is denied. Reflect for a moment. Are you living as a victim, waiting for others to make things right? Or are you taking ownership of your journey?
The responsible person.
A responsible person says, I may not control what happens to me, but I always control how I respond. Every challenge is an opportunity to grow. Blaming others steals my power. I will respond with faith, courage, and integrity. This person grows through adversity and builds character through pressure. When things are unclear, they choose to have faith.
Examples of responsible people. Nelson Mandela.
When asked if he hated his captors after 27 years of imprisonment, he responded, No. I want to be free. He understood that bitterness would only extend his captivity.
Viktor Frankl.
A Holocaust survivor on whom grisly experiments were conducted. Frankl said, They had more options, but I had more freedom. He had the freedom to make good moral choices. They did bad things they were commanded to do. Though imprisoned and martyred, he chose his response, and later taught others how to find meaning, even in suffering.
Helen Keller.
Deaf and blind from infancy, she still impacted millions. Here is a quote from one of the books she wrote, I long to accomplish a great and noble task, but my chief duty is to accomplish humble tasks as though they were great and noble. The world moves not only by the mighty shoves of its heroes, but by the aggregate of tiny pushes of each honest worker. Responding versus reacting. Every challenge in life presents a moment of choice. Will you respond with intentionality or react emotionally? When something happens, do you react, driven by emotion and impulse, or do you respond, rooted in character and self-control? Teach yourself to slow time down before you take action, to reflect first before reacting. Our brains work lightning fast and can process a lot of information in milliseconds if your awareness is trained. Between stimulus and response, there is a sacred space. In that space lies your power to choose. When you practice self-control and awareness, that pause becomes longer. You are less reactive, more discerning, and ultimately more powerful. It's called the power of the pause. Proverbs 16 verse 32 says, Better a patient person than a warrior, one with self-control than one who takes a city. Responsibility is the birthplace of growth. It's the moment we stop blaming others, making excuses, or waiting for rescue, and start owning our choices, our attitudes, and our future. We have authority over our lives, but with that comes the call to take responsibility, not for everything, but for what is ours to carry. Our reactions, our growth, our obedience, our healing. People default on blame fixing, but healing and restoration begins when people stop pointing fingers and started humbling their hearts. Taking responsibility isn't a burden, it's empowering. It moves you from victim to victor, from stuck to free, from immature to trusted. It means saying, this may not be my fault, but it is my fight. Example. Consider the following situation. Imagine you are person A that has an unexpected emergency. You were scheduled to give a speech at your best friend's party, something very important to them. Just before the event, you learn your grandfather has been in a serious accident. You rush to the hospital and try to contact your friend via WhatsApp, but your service provider is down. You attempt to call, but there's no answer. Hours later, while your grandfather is still in critical condition, your friend calls. What do you expect his or her response to be? Think for a moment. Now, imagine you are person B, the disappointed friend. You trusted your best friend to give a meaningful speech at your important party. The time came, but they were absent. Caught up in hosting, you didn't call them immediately. You had to speak in their place, unprepared, and felt embarrassed and hurt. It seemed like your friend just didn't show up. After the party, you finally call them. What would you honestly have said to your friend, and in what tone of voice or emotional expression? What would the expected response be on their side after you have blown off steam? Would this resolve the conflict efficiently? What would the right way be for person B to approach person A? Here are some tips on how to handle a situation like this. Always expect the best of someone close to you. Don't assume anything, but ask what happened, and listen intently, without forming counter-arguments in your mind. Then respond after considering the best cause of action or argument. Responsibility is not a burden. It is power. When we stop blaming and start owning our journey, we become free. Free to grow, free to lead, free to live. We are not responsible for everything that happens to us, but we are always responsible for how we respond.